Hello, welcome back to the Infinite Edge podcast, sponsored by InfiniteEdgeHealthWellness.com. My name is Todd, and I'm here with just Jeremy today, and we're going to be talking about perception as we move on to episode 8. What I mean by perception is we're going to talk about looking at things more positively than negatively in some cases, and also keep in mind as we go through these casts, as of right now, anyways, I don't think anytime soon, none of us are medical professionals in any way. So everything we do is researched or by our opinions. All right, so close your eyes and think about this, okay? You leave the house, you walk down the driveway, you hit the road to walk in front of your car to get in it, and you slip, right? You slip, but you don't fall. This happened to me this morning. That's why I'm bringing this up. What I did was I was very angry, because I have problems with this perception thing. I look at the bad too much. I know that. It's something people tell me all the time, and it's something I've realized. So as soon as I hit that ice, the first thing I think, I was mad because, I slipped. So I start driving to work, I'm driving, I'm listening to music, I'm relaxing a little bit, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm glad I didn't fall. So I think the point here is what we're going to get into today is when stuff happens, whether it's bad or good or just anything day to day, look at the brighter side of it. Try to look at the brighter side of it. Maybe it'll put you in a better mood for the day. Like in the morning, say Jeremy's on his way to, work. He's got a lot of work ahead of him, but traffic's bad. But you know what? He woke up bad anyways, but now he gets to listen to his favorite band for a little longer. Maybe that's the positive out of it. Maybe it helps him out.
It's actually really funny that you say it that way because that's actually one of my favorite things about having a long commute to work. Because my commute to work varies depending on traffic, somewhere between 46 minutes and an hour and 20, right? And a lot of people are like, man, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you make that. I would never, ever want to make that kind of commute. And where it does make for some longer days, it also allows for me to have some of that reflection time both in the morning and in the evening. I have time to wake up and get my coffee and and just and relax. I can listen to music. You know, I can have phone conversation with people I need to either way that can, help enhance that day. And there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of perspective on it of people going, I could never do it. That sounds terrible. Yeah, it's got its downsides. It's a long drive. It can be kind of frustrating dealing with traffic, more hazards, etc. But for me, it's actually really it can be very therapeutic, especially on the way home too, because then at that point, by the time I walk in this door, work is long gone. Work is past. It I don't bring it inside the door of my house because I've had so much time to decompress and get away from it. And so it's good for me. So I think that it was actually funny the way you said that. It was something him and I hadn't talked about him making that point, and I think that's one of those things that it just kind of synchronizes as we do things. But I I do like that because it's perspective of a lot of people. No, for me, I like it. I don't mind it.
And
So
and as everyone watches, I think you'll start to see that as this isn't a scripted podcast at all. So a lot of what we go with is straight reaction. So like I knew kind of what I was gonna talk about opening up, but his reaction is completely on him. So like
right.
me
Well,
too.
and we
I know for me driving in, I listen to music. It's about 40 minutes. On the way home, I get to catch up on my podcast, whether I switch up, on XM from Jimmy Smith and listen to a little MMA, or if I'm on, listening to some football with Pat Kerwin and Jim Miller. That helps me. And I'm sure my kids really appreciate it that I don't bring work stresses home as much because then, I'm not in a
absolutely
bad mood by the time I get them off the bus.
right. Absolutely. I know, and I think it's good, but I think there's a lot of ways of perspective. So my perspective for the day of kind of where Todd slipped on the ice and had his well, this is stupid. Um, I had a job I was working on at work that it was taking me a lot longer than I thought it needed to by the end of the day, and it was stressing me out and doing whatever. Well, at my business we have facilities, so I was working in one and most of the other employees were working in the other. And I got the one I was working on done and went back across to check in at our other facility. And it was an absolute chaos. They were behind. There was stuff that was started first thing in the morning that was still being worked on that should not have still been being worked on. And so they were having a really rough time over there. And I kind of spent multiple hours through finishing this project going, I'm slacking. I'm way behind. I'm having such a rough go at this. It's not going the way I want it to go. And then I get over there and I got to see the perspective of, oh, mine wasn't so bad. I didn't run into the same amount of hiccups. I didn't run into the same problems that these guys did. So, you know, ran through with the perspective of this is terrible and then see, well, it could have been a lot worse. They're kind of getting their butts kicked worse than I did. So, you know, I think that's where a lot of us end up fighting with the negative perspective on how everything goes, you know. And it can go from any level of severity in all kinds of stuff of, something minimal that you take into way too close to heart, and something that is massive that, well, great, could have a better outcome. So, I think that's yeah, I actually really like this topic. I feel like this would be a good one to have yet another voice in with it if Nate was able to be here with us, but unfortunately he's not, because we all have different perspectives, and I think we've made mention before that Todd and I both managed to drift to talking to Nate. He's very much that center point of, he has a very different perspective, and he's very good at challenging your perspective when you're having a rough go at something, or even a good go at something, and he has a way of elevating your perspective, being like, yeah, but it's not that bad. It could be this bad. And you're like, I don't want it to be that bad. And he's like, yeah, but see, now we're having a better time because we do that. So, it's really good. And that's, once again, as we talk about all the time, of, talk to people, especially if you're struggling with mental health problems or anything like that. I know we push that a lot, but for all of us involved in this podcast and this business, that's important to us, and that's where it all kind of stems from. But having people to talk to, especially when you're having trouble with your perspective, or seeing things super negative, or living down in the dumps because it just feels like everything's going wrong, when you got somebody you can talk to, whoever it may be, friends, family, medical professionals, whoever, right? That can help you see a brighter side. It's going to help elevate you and take you where you need to be.
I know for me personally, with the perspective thing, a lot of times and Nate's told me and helped me with this, and I'm sure you've gotten to notice that my natural reaction to everything is frustration or anger at times. So, and then going back to our New Year's resolution cast, whether you like New Year's resolutions or anything about it, it's just about bettering yourself, right? Mine is, I know I need to react different sometimes, or try not to see the worst in everything. So
Correct. Absolutely.
the other thing I would like to start doing on this cast, and I think everybody will be okay with it because, we're a small business, so we want to promote other small businesses, is we're going to do our small business love here. So I know we do this podcast, the Infinite Edge podcast, and we have infiniteedgehealthwellness.com. That's, where we do our supplement sales. So if you guys obviously please, go check that out. Also, if you're into sports, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, pro wrestling, um, my buddy Fred LaFeo and I'm on there quite a bit with them. They do the Subtle Flex podcast on YouTube as well. And then me and Nate also have another buddy who has a website on Facebook. So if you ever scroll on Facebook, it's called Laser Bakes, and they do a lot of handcrafted wood decorations and other cool items like that. They're very plausible. He does coasters. He does all kinds of cool stuff. Any design you want. I know that's I think that's pretty cool. And then my sister-in-law has a company called the Bee's Knees Handmade, and they specialize in custom shirts and cups and stuff like that. So a lot of print stuff, and it's a newer company I think too. But I know she was real excited because they'd officially sold to 48 out of the 50 states. So Hawaii and Alaska, get on there and hook her up. Jeremy, would you like to shout out any local businesses or small businesses today?
Not currently at the moment that I've got direct connection to. There's, but as things come around, there will be new stuff to come.
Okay, so just like we tell you guys every week, we want you to push your limits and give everything you can and give yourself an edge, okay? As well, please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or X now, I'm sorry. They call it X now. I'm not sure about TikTok. We have to get back with Nate to see if he's been unblocked. I guess he's been a naughty boy. I don't know. Also, feel free to comment on here. Please comment on here. Give us your ideas, what you want us to talk about. If it's a good
Okay.
topic and you're pretty comfortable talking about it, we might have you on. We don't mind having
Absolutely.
guests.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Nope, not at all. And comment either on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, anywhere that you see this podcast, any of our social medias. You can also email us, which the email is up on any of our social medias as well. So definitely feel free to send us any information, anything you want to hear us talk about, anything like that. And if it's something you want to talk about, hey, we have no problem, having a phone call with you and get a plan before we go at it. But I mean, absolutely something we can do. We want to be interactive and inclusive. So
right.
uh, the more we can get, the better.
Also, if you're seeing this podcast and you do own a small business, I like buying from small businesses. I know Jeremy and Nate do as
Absolutely.
well. Please comment a
Absolutely.
link in our bio for your small
Yep.
business. We'll check it out. Obviously, we're going to check it out before we talk about it on here, but we will
Correct.
check it out at the least. So please,
Absolutely. And if it's something we can use, we'll sure utilize you guys before we use any of the corporate stuff. Because once again, that's who we are. So we'd
right.
prefer that, that we support it in the same way that we hope that people will us.
Okay. Well, we want to tell everybody happy Friday. We'll see you next Friday again, and we hope you have a good weekend. See ya.
Absolutely.